Hi, I'm Lippy.
And I'm Grumpy. Together we're Lippy and Grumpy Do Podcasting.
In this episode, our consumer advice has worked, Grumpy's breakdown, last minute ordering, and the Dorking Sicario.
Now, Lippy.
Yes.
We have offered consumer advice.
We have. Well, I have.
Well, yes. Yes, you have. To be correct, you have. Yes, indeed you have. Yes, from Minimat.
Yes.
And he downloaded the Too Good To Go on Lippy's advice and picked up this massive haul from his local Nissa stroke co-op.
That was.
Petrol station. And there's an Indian takeaway for two and a whole bunch of other stuff. That,
little lunch salad, pasta salads, wasn't it? And
yeah. Oh, and a packet of crumpets.
Ooh, packet of crumpets.
I mean, that is dinner and a few lunches, I would say. If
for £4.
For £4, provided you can play a little gung-ho with the use by dates or sell by dates. Yeah. Well done, Lippy, and thank you, Minimat, for letting us know.
Definitely. I think I'm going to have to use it. I still haven't used it myself. Been a bit busy since I found it, so...
I'm looking forward to use it when we're in Swanage over the next 2 weeks.
Yes, that's a great idea.
Yeah, the Greggs down there has an outlet, if that's the correct term. So
we'll go with it.
Yeah, so I think we'll do that. That'll be an interesting experiment, if nothing else.
Definitely.
And I also had a missive from the Screaming Tomato, who pointed out I made a bit of a faux pas.
You made a blunder.
Quite a big one, really, by suggesting that...
That was my sink.
Jolly good. Well, I possibly get that scene too. Yes, I suggested that the sun has its own orbit, which of course it doesn't.
No. We orbit the sun.
Yeah. What I meant is that it wobbles. And I have found a couple of articles to back me up. On its atlas?
Is that what
I don't think it'd be on its atlas. I think it'd be axis.
That's the one. Atlas is it? No.
Well, hopefully two wrongs make a right, and they're okay.
So the sun orbits on an atlas. That's what we're going with.
Yes. Perfect. We could start a conspiracy theory. So
I'm sure we could.
This very in-depth and very technical article that I didn't completely understand suggests because the planets are in different positions, and the mass of the planets has an effect on the sun, then the sun can move relative to other planets. So, for example, the sun can be slightly closer or slightly further away to the Earth, dependent on, the big planets like Jupiter and Saturn, and smaller ones as well. So it's not all fixed. It is wobbling about a bit. Now, there's a hypothesis called Milankovitch cycle, which also talks about the distance between the Earth and the sun changing. So it's not fixed. The idea is it goes in cycles and it affects Earth's climate slightly for a period of time. And it's a little bit like the moon's orbit wobbling that we discussed last week, and that having an effect on tides. So we're on our hollybob soon.
You are on your hollybob soon. I am actually quite jealous. I would like to be going earlier.
Yeah, so we've got 2 weeks in Swanage in a field, and I have constructed this enormous cellular phone mast.
Yeah.
In an attempt to have decent 4G coverage down there. For reasons unknown at the moment, but it's an interesting experiment as to whether we could actually work from the camper van rather than having to be at home.
The first test of working away.
It is very much the first test. It is untested technology, but it is a 26-foot telescopic pole with a aerial on the top. So it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Yes.
And no doubt there'll have to be another lesson on the differences between Wi-Fi and internet for
100%.
certain individuals.
100%.
Yes, absolutely. So we're looking forward to that. And we're taking a bit of a break for 4 weeks. So we're not producing any new material during August, but we will recycle some of our old stuff. So there will be something to listen to.
The best bits.
Well, it's not the best bits. I was thinking about this because it means I'd have to edit stuff from lots of different things into one, and I'm too lazy to do that.
That is true.
It's going to be 4
not you
episodes.
being lazy, sorry. That bit's not true. The lots of editing.
Yes. So we will do best of at some point. So it'll be a little while. So anyway, so you won't miss out on us, but we will be back on the first Friday in September. Now, you had a bit of a shock last week.
I had a massive shock. I rang you. That's how shocked I was.
Yeah.
I needed to tell somebody how shocked I was. I was scrolling the internet on my lunch break, as I frequently do, and saw a video. Someone going, the moment you find out you're older than Google. And the video was this lady looking super shocked. And I was like, I wonder how Google actually is. Looked it up. I'm older than Google.
Yeah, it's a worry, isn't it?
I think for me, obviously, I'm 1996. So although the internet was still like being born and whatever, and Google started when I was a child, by the time I came to actually use things like a phone, my phone didn't have internet on it that I remember being able to know how to access. And like computers and things, were at school, we didn't really use the internet. We just used like Word and stuff and PowerPoint. And then, so by the time I actually used the internet, I was probably like 12-ish, 13. So Google had been around for a long time by that point, and then Google was on most computers. So I didn't even think about a time where Google wouldn't have been on the computers.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're born, when you start working, whatever, when that thing is readily available, you just take it for granted. It's the same as hot and cold running water in homes, or vacuum cleaners, or refrigerators even. You go back 70 years, then refrigerators weren't that common. So it's you just take it for granted.
It did make me feel old. I'm coming across a few things in life at the moment where I'm like, God, I am getting old. And that was definitely one of them.
So there's a theory that says 1 human year is the equivalent of 7 internet years, a little bit like we have dog years and cat years. This is an article written in 2016, and it's saying if you say the commercial internet kicked off in the mid-90s, which it did, so around the time you were born, it was still dial-up, but we had dial-up service from home, and then latterly from the office I shared. 20 years later, 2016, is 140 years of change and evolution.
Crazy.
Which, when you think about it like that...
Yeah.
It's very different. And you would quite happily accept something being around for 140 years without giving it a second thought. So stuff, I'm involved in software development, and things are changing at such a speed. It's difficult to keep on top of it, but it does mean that you can build things better and faster than we could 30 years ago.
So although I was shocked I'm older than Google, technically, in internet years, Google is still older than me. So
very much so. Yes, very, very
I'll
much
take
so.
that.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you can multiply that age of Google by 7. That's fine.
Yeah, perfect.
Absolutely fine. Now, I got into a bit of a pickle last night.
You did, I heard.
Yes, ended up joining the M25, and there was a bit of a misfire in the car, and the engine management light was flashing, which can't be a good thing.
No.
So I decided to on the side of safety and pull to the side of the road,
Well,
and call Green Flag, who sent somebody out very quickly, I have to say. He was out within 40 minutes in his van with his little reader, which he plugged in. And then he spotted the fact that I had a diagnostics reader on the front seat as well. And he said, "Oh, you've already plugged it in." I said, "Yeah." I said, "It's something about transmission which popped up this morning." I said, "It's come up before." I don't know why it does it every now and then, sort of 5 or 6 years. And the way to fix it is to grab the automatic shifter and just go forwards and backwards about 20 times quite quickly. I think what it does is there's a sort of an actuator switch, and it gets gummed up with a bit of grease. And I think it cleans it. The problem, it clears one fault code, which locks it into 4th gear, which is dreadful if you're trying to get anywhere because you're desperately trying to move and not. But it doesn't clear the engine management light.
Oh, so the light still thinks there's something wrong.
The light's still on until I think you've done about 20 restarts without the fault, and then it just disappears, if I remember correctly. But I can't find anything to back this up. But the misfire seems to be, it's certainly not spark plug. Well, I don't think it's spark plugs. I've had them out today. Probably a coil pack. But the chap, Tim, who then picked me up about 40 minutes later and recovered me home, he was very interesting. Quite an interesting chap. He's about to move to North Wales to drive... milk lorries collecting milk from farmers because he says, although it's a 4:30 start, he says, I'm finished at 3:30 And
Nice.
I don't have to work weekends. And apparently he's been working nights for the last 5 or 6 years. So
Yeah, that'll be lovely change, won't it?
yeah, and he said it's the same money as well. Which is,
Might as well
it's
then.
brilliant. So,
And living in North Wales probably be cheaper as well.
possibly. He's not far from Chester, I don't think. But he said he's got a cracking view across the Dee and onto the Mersey. So, yeah, good on him. That's a brilliant move. But he was telling me last week he picked up a Range Rover that had broken down. £80,000 this car cost, and it managed 75 miles before it had to be recovered.
What?
And he said he dropped it off at the guy's house, who was, as you would say, clearly minted.
Yeah.
And then there's a customer service rep from the garage stood there telling him that it will be 5-6 days for diagnosis and then possibly 6 weeks for repair. And this bloke went ballistic. He was not at all happy. Well, yeah,
You wouldn't be after paying...
£80,000.
Yeah. And then you lose your car for 6 weeks after 75 miles.
75 miles and £80,000.
That's not even a year's worth. That's even not even like 6 months worth of driving.
What, 75 miles?
Yeah.
But that's 2 trips to you and back from here. I mean, that's...
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's actually
75
ridiculous,
miles.
isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's probably driven like 2 places, 3 places.
Yeah, absolutely.
God.
Absolutely crazy. But I think it was resolved. I don't think he was too keen on having the car back, to be honest.
No. I think I'd want a refund.
Yeah, absolutely reject it. But we're also talking about smart motorways, which is quite a controversial topic. Well, the government like them because it means you can add a lane quite cheaply. And the rest of the UK doesn't like them because they're very dangerous. Yeah. And he was saying apparently the advice they give you if you break down in a live lane is to stay in the car.
No.
Seatbelt on. Yep. Seatbelt on, stay in the car.
Stay in the car and wait to be smashed into the back of?
Well, apparently there was a phone call was recorded and has been released of a guy who had broken down, and he's saying, I really don't feel safe. I've lost everything. There's no lights on the car. It's dark. And then the next thing you hear this enormous explosion as a transit van piles into the back of him. He survived, but he was in a bit of a state, as you can imagine. Well, I don't think they would have played that.
You'd be suing the government for that.
Well, it's crazy. And as far as I understand, we don't do politics on this programme.
We don't.
We do statistics. So I think the statistics of how safe they are they massaged somewhat. And also the electronics and the gear that is supposed to detect when a car has stopped, which is fundamental to the system. So you can spot within seconds that a car has stopped and activate the lane closed sign. So they reckon none of that exists. Very few miles have that in place. Something like a 20-minute delay between breaking down and them closing the lane. That is utterly ridiculous. And they're still pushing ahead with this. And the other thing he was saying was that if you notice on these smart bits, there's refuges. So where they've sort of dug out of the side of the road and put something where you can stop. They're supposed to be every mile, and they're not. So they've just finished the M23 around from the M25 down to Gatwick, a smart motorway, and they're having to dig it up again because they have refuges in every mile. It's bad. Well, the problem is it's dealing with people's safety, and it's just not.
I don't think I would stay in the car. If I was told to stay in the car on the side of a motorway, I would not. I would get out. Because even in the hard shoulder, you're meant to get out, aren't you, and stand behind the barrier.
Well, that's the advice they give.
Yeah.
I mean, I sat on the bank last night. I mean, I was on the slip road, so I was quite safe, but I thought it was probably best not to. So I sat on the bank, but actually walking back down the bank was more dangerous, I think, than sitting in the car, and I'm surprised I stayed on my feet. But the last thing I'm going to say about smart motorways is this chap was saying the government advice, if you're recovering a vehicle, then that's fine. You can stay in the live lane with the cross on it. And the whole of the recovery industry has gone, no, we're not doing that. You shut the motorway. Which is why you get the hold-ups I had yesterday morning going to where I was going because somebody had broken down or there'd been an accident and the whole lot had just jammed up from the M25, M26 junction all the way back to the A22, which is why I went through parts of Kent I've never seen before.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it was quite nice.
The scenic route.
Yes, could have done without that, to be honest. But so I made a bit of discovery about the Dorking cat killer over the weekend.
Yes.
Apparently, it's not only cats.
It's not, is it?
There's been an incident with doves.
Yeah. A couple of doves as well, not just one.
Yes, we won't go into the grisly details. I think we're going to rename the Dorking cat killer to the Dorking Sicario, which is Mexican for hit person. In some ways, good to see her branching out, but in other ways,
not so good for the animals.
Definitely not so good for the animals. But that was very funny, and she was mortified when she realised I'd overheard that conversation.
Yes. I remember a slight squeal of your name come out of her mouth when she realised.
Yes, indeed. Oh, you had a trip to Cornwall.
I did.
Before last week. And you were telling me of a light problem getting into a cider place.
Are we allowed to name the cider place?
Yes, why not?
Yeah, why not? So I was with my friend, same age as me, been friends for years, and my other friend, her sister, who's also my friend, lives down in Cornwall. So we went to stay with her a couple of days, and one of the things she told us to do while we were there is go to the Rattler cider place. It's really cool. They've got like a farm, they've got like a massive tour place, and they've got like a beach area where they've got drinks and like a bar. And it's meant to be like really good fun and really interesting to go around. And they do apple juice and like loads of different stuff there. All sorts of flavoured Rattler. So we got there all excited, just big massive tin things looking cool. Walked in the door, a lady at the desk said, "Oh, 2 adults." And we just said, "Oh yeah, I think so, yeah." And she was like, "Can I see your IDs then?" And my friend, being the forgetful type, had actually left her purse in her car back at my house in Hampshire.
Away.
So, I mean, we're not going to drive 4 hours to come get it. So I said, "Oh, I've got my ID," and my friend hasn't. And she was like, "Oh, well, where is it?" And she's like, "I've left it in London." So, because my friend actually lives in London. So she's like, "So I can't like go and get it for you. Like, I don't have it." And next thing you know, she turns around and goes, "Well, you can't come in then." And we were both taken back by surprise a bit. We were a bit like, "Sorry, what?" It's a child-friendly place. It says online, child-friendly, farm, loads of kids walking around. We kind of just walked away thinking, that's really weird. So we're having a little walk around the shop, and I just said to my friend, I was like, maybe go and just ask a bit more about that. Like, surely is a child-friendly tour, you can go in, you don't have to be ID'd. So my friend went back over and said, "There's kids around, is there not a way I can go in and not be ID'd? Because obviously I haven't got it, but we would really like to come in and have a look." No, you can't come in. I haven't seen your ID and you're an adult, so I can't come in. Then my friend goes, "Well, can I come in on a child ticket then?" And she said, "Well, no, I can't let you in on a child ticket when I know you're an adult." My friend Richard replied, "Well, you don't know I'm an adult because you haven't seen my ID." So she obviously still said no, she wouldn't let us in. But that moment, we were both a bit baffled, thinking, well, she's not an adult because she hasn't got an ID, but she's also not a child because you know she's an adult even though you've not seen her ID. Yeah. So we were kind of a bit annoyed, and my friend sent a very angry email to Rattler about the whole situation. Ooh. Yeah, she did. She was really annoyed about it because there was like a toddler in a pram going in. There wasn't so much understanding as to why we couldn't go in. So as we're walking back, we spotted that the beach bar area was not actually inside the tour. It was in the car, attached to the car park. So we thought, we'll go and have a look and see what that is. So we had a little walk in, sat down, there's loads of tables, it's really cute. We had lovely weather. There was like loads of games there. We were playing Connect 4. And some other games as well. I sat down and my friend goes, "Do you know what? I'm just going to order a cider and see what happens." And they served her. Didn't ask for her ID.
How bizarre is that? I think it must be Schrodinger's cider factory. You see what I mean? So you're both an adult and a child at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's very bizarre not to have a non-drinking
That's what we said. And when we sat down, we could have gone back, but at this point, I think we were just both over it. We sat down and I just said to my friend, "I don't understand why she couldn't charge you for an adult ticket and give you a child wristband." Because I think the issue is that there's tasters. So if she'd had an adult band on, that she would have been given tasters, and they haven't ID'd her, fair enough. Like, we're 25 now, but like she still looks 10. So
isn't 25 the cutoff anyway? So
it is. It's look 25. Yeah. So we don't understand why there wasn't a way for her to give a band that just showed that she hadn't been ID'd and like hadn't been checked, so she couldn't be given samples. Because also there were mums and dads there with their kids, and what if they hadn't brought ID? Surely they'd probably let them in.
Yeah, well, I mean, you both look perhaps a little younger than 25.
I see.
Yeah, you could say that as a compliment, I suppose. Not having a non-drinking ticket does seem to be turning business away somewhat.
Yeah, because the tickets weren't that... I think they were like £9 or £10 each, so that's 20 quid they lost themselves there on a quiet Thursday.
Yes, absolutely. It
seemed a bit baffling to us, but she still got her drink. I had an apple juice because I was driving, but it was a very lovely apple juice, actually. I would highly recommend trying the Rattler apple juice.
Has there been a reply from Rattler about this?
No, there has not. It has been fully ignored. To be honest, I think if I'd received an email like that, I probably would have ignored it as well.
I don't know. So, it depends on the content of it, but I think the purpose of it is quite sensible.
It wasn't rude. It was a polite, angry email. More of a, we were very confused about what had happened and why we couldn't get in to a child-friendly farm. We just wanted to pet some animals,
Well, maybe a cider factory is not the place to go for that then.
Well, the other place that we got told about, an ice cream place where you can go and watch the cows being milked and the ice cream being made, but that was closed because of COVID. But we did buy ice cream from there, and they do make it fresh, and it was amazing ice cream.
Yeah, but it was.
So yeah, we were trying all day to see some animals, and we weren't allowed.
What a shame.
Yeah.
Now, we've had quite a hot period over the last week or so in the UK. In an attempt to cool down, I was reminded something my dad always said, having a hot cup of tea on a hot day would cool you down. And I think there is some science to back this up, but I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. I found myself drinking hot tea and getting in quite a state last week.
The way it works is the tea raises the temperature of your body, which helps you then feel the cold air. But I feel like you would need to be drinking tea 40 degrees when it's 30-degree weather.
But the air is not cool nor dry. It was roasting.
Yeah.
Not to put too fine a point on it. And if that's true, why is the reverse not true? So the RNLI, when they pluck somebody out of the water, they don't give them a cold beer. They give them hot tea.
Do you know why that is? Because they're
not a licensed boat.
No, it's because they put sugar in the tea and the sugar helps with the shock.
So it has nothing to do with the heat of it.
It reduces your shock, which then can cause a lot of other worse things in your body to happen when you go into shock.
Yes, shock is quite bad.
So that's why they give you tea, because it has sugar in it.
Not because it's hot.
Not because it's hot.
So would you recommend somebody with hypothermia having a cold beer?
Well, no, because that's the other way round.
Yes, exactly. You're too cold. So if you're hot, have a hot drink. If you're cold, have a cold drink, is what I'm saying. And I wouldn't expect the latter to work.
No.
Strange, isn't it? But yeah. I'm still not convinced about the hot drink thing. But it might be me.
Well, you are going through your male menopause.
I don't think so.
You're always bloody boiling.
I am, but that's due to wonky thyroid.
Male menopause.
Anyway, moving on. I was horrified to find out my sister cleans glasses by dropping them in the bath when she has a bath and giving them a good old clean.
No.
Yep.
No. That's not clean water. You can't clean something with dirty water.
That was exactly what I said, but she seemed to think it worked fine.
I guess if she's the only one drinking out of them, then it's...
No. Looking glasses, not drinking glasses.
Oh my God, I thought you meant... It was literally in my head that is really disgusting.
that would be. No, she has the bowls, but not the glasses.
Yeah, you can clean your seeing glasses. It's water, isn't it? Well, you're going to wipe them down anyway. It's fine.
Well, yeah, but we clean water. It's drinking glasses.
Honestly, in my head, I was like, I did not know this. That is actually really disgusting, and I hope I've never drunken out one of those glasses.
Yeah.
Seeing glasses doesn't seem so bad now, does it?
Does it? No. I must make a note to warn you, not spring this on you. Oh, mind you, it's in the notes, so I just have reading glasses, glasses. Yes, well, moving on. We had a wedding at the weekend, which we've known about for about 2 years, I think, because it's been postponed due to the word that we don't mention. But your sister decided to leave it until a week before ordering new shoes, which hadn't turned up by the time we left.
I don't even think she left it a week before. I reckon she ordered those on the Tuesday, Wednesday to come for the Friday, because we left quite early on the Saturday, so a Saturday morning delivery was a no-go.
Yeah, absolutely. This has happened before with other items where it's been left to beyond the last minute, and then there's a there's all sorts of drama because it hasn't turned up. Just organise yourself a bit better.
Yes, it was rather shocking. I won't lie, I did do a similar thing. I on Wednesday on Thursday, saw a pair of shoes online that I really loved, and I thought they would look really cute at the wedding. Had free next day delivery, so I thought they were going to be coming on the Friday. They didn't. They came Saturday morning after I'd left, because obviously I left earlier to get to you guys on time. But they were a last minute, I like them kind of shoes rather than the shoes that I needed. I had the shoes I was going to wear, and they were like backup shoes that if they had come, they would have been nice with my outfit. And actually they came and they were a bit pinker than I thought they were, so they wouldn't have gone with my outfit. So double win.
Well, that was lucky. I do find it amazing that people order shoes that then so uncomfortable they can't walk. And in fact, it was better to walk on the quite large gravel driveway than it was in the shoes.
I know. It shocks me as well, because I wore heels and I was also not drinking because I was designated driver. My feet were absolutely fine. My shoes were perfect. They're comfy. I know they're comfy. I've worn them a lot. And I was wearing my heels all day and all evening.
Yes. My shoes are a little bit tight, actually, but I think that's because I've not worn shoes for the last 18 months on a regular basis.
The wedding party were shocked to see you not in pyjamas, I do think.
Yes, I think that was a surprise. Either pyjamas or shorts.
There were a few comments about possibly having the pyjamas under the clothing.
Yes, there were a few, wasn't there? Yes. I managed to order a very nice blazer a few months back from a company, and I was really impressed with them because they'd obviously put a lot of thought into sizing, and they encourage you to take different sizes. I think it was about £1.20 extra you paid, and then you could just send everything back. And there was two different blazers, which I got in different sizes, but unfortunately the first one had disappeared. I was out of stock, rather. And I was horrified to find about a week ago they sent an email saying, we're closing down.
Oh, no.
They would have been my outfitters of choice. Not that I buy a lot of clothes, it has to be said.
But was that where the stripy blazer came from?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Could you not do a haul? Just buy whatever stock they had left?
I looked and they only had very small sizes.
Oh, shame.
Yeah, it was a shame. A real shame. Because they had some great boat shoes and all sorts of stuff as well.
And that was a great jacket, which you got a lot of compliments on.
I did get, and it wasn't a lot of money either, which is even better.
Yeah. Double win.
So last week we talked about Stan Larkin, the man who had his heart in a backpack for 555 days. So I did a bit of research into this. It's quite an interesting story. So Stan was born with cardiomyopathy, which you being fully trained up on Grey's Anatomy, you'll know all about.
Yeah. I know what that is.
What is it?
No, it's to do with your heart. It's an issue with your heart.
Yeah, very good. So when
a hole, maybe?
No, it's not a hole. It's the heart muscle becomes enlarged. Heart eventually loses its ability to pump blood and maintain a normal heartbeat. I am reading this. I don't know this. This is not medical advice at all. So, 25, he had a heart operation to remove it. So it started 9 years earlier when he was playing basketball, where he just collapsed. You know, similar sort of thing to what we saw with the Euros.
Yes.
A few weeks ago, that sort of, just drop dead thing, which is really quite
terrifying,
quite horrendous. Yeah, terrifying. So they removed his heart from his body, and they had to wait for a donor. So they constructed this artificial heart, which is nothing new. That's not particularly new. A couple of tubes that came out under the ribs, which give me the EBGBs, quite frankly.
Yeah,
I can't. Yeah, I find that. Yeah, thought of that quite unpleasant. And then bung the heart in the back. There's no information here about any redundancy in terms of batteries or hearts or things like that, which is a shame, because that would be quite interesting. His younger brother, called Dominique, has also suffered the same thing, and he wasn't able to be up and about with his artificial heart, so he spent 6 weeks in hospital with the artificial heart before they found a replacement for him. So I assume he's well and fit and carrying on. Yeah, which is quite amazing. And there is a YouTube link on this article, but I don't want to watch it in case it's actually open heart surgery and I'll pass out. So I'm not going to do that. But I'll give a link to the the article. It's very interesting. So it was good to find that wasn't total hogwash. Sometimes these facts that you can find, it's a little bit.
It's not exactly as the title says, is it?
No, I saw one the other day which said that the front cover of the famous Nirvana track with the baby in the swimming pool
Yeah.
was Dave Grohl. And I thought about this. Well, that doesn't work out. Dave Grohl's not young.
No.
And that was in the 90s. And I read this and thought, this is just total nonsense. And he then went on about him getting recording contracts on the basis that he'd been the baby in the swimming pool. I just thought, this is just wrong.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's complete nonsense at all.
Yeah.
You've only got to
Gibberish.
look up Wikipedia and find out that's just not the case at all. Anyway, we had a bumper crop of rhubarb from the allotment and produced quite a big tub of stewed rhubarb in the fridge, which is slowly going down. You've got to think about as much again.
I know, I'm so excited. I haven't cooked any yet. That's my plan for tomorrow. So I'm gonna make a rhubarb pie because I love pie and I love rhubarb and I love rhubarb pie with custard.
Yeah. That would be very nice. Yes, we had it with custard, and I put a picture on Instagram. Some people thought it was something really quite unpleasant.
Yeah, it doesn't look that edible, rhubarb. When it's all stewed down, it looks a bit weird, but it tastes absolutely marvellous.
And it was very green, and I thought it had to go red, but that's not the case, obviously.
It's just a supermarket thing where it goes red.
So we cooked about just over 1.5 kilograms, and I guess yours is probably maybe a little bit under that. And there's as much gain left on the plant. August is the cut-off time. You don't harvest it after August. So I shall pluck the last remaining bits. I'm going to pick them up and take them down to Swanage with us with a few peas. Some of the peas are just about turned. Things have been very odd, I have to say. I was speaking to the chap next to me he's been there 30 odd years, I think, and he's got a 4-size plot. And I think he feeds the family for quite a substantial amount of the year with it, because he was saying his tomatoes have got blight. There was a connection there because he had trouble with the potatoes as well. But the tomatoes have all got blight, and he's saying, I don't know what to do. He said, I've tried to get some plants from the local garden centre, but they don't have any. So no tomatoes this year. It was a bit sad.
You'll buy them from the shop, which I can imagine shop bought things after growing your own vegetables is probably not very nice.
No, well, we'll find out with the onions about how good they are over the next couple of weeks. So they've not dried nicely, just in time for the rainy weather this week. Yeah, so I've got a big lump of ground where the onions came out, and I'm wondering what to put in there for the winter.
Potatoes?
I have a think and a read about that. Well, we don't tend to eat potatoes so much, so
Broccoli?
It's probably not worth doing. I have got 2 broccoli plants in the garden that are growing incredibly slowly. Whether they're going to make anything or not, I don't know. Broccoli is normally spring, so it's stuff that you can overwinter. So the onions were perfect, so they went in the autumn with the garlic, and then they're ready to pull mid-July, so that worked quite well. And you don't have to do much with them as well.
No,
so
they just live underground.
Yeah, just there, and when they're ready, you pull them up.
Oh, what about spring onions?
Not had much luck with those. There seems to be a number of creatures just seem to like eating stuff from my particular plot and not bother with anybody else's, which is slightly annoying. And I'm going to have to do something quite major with the fruit cage in terms of gun turrets, because something's got in there. A's eaten all the strawberries. We've not had one this year, and has had a go at the gooseberries as well. Although there weren't that many on the bush. I think the odd weather this year has upset quite a lot
ruined them, yeah.
Vegetables and fruit. And you sort of feel more for the farmers after watching Clarkson's Farm, I have to say. That's done more for people understanding farming than anything else.
Yeah, definitely.
So do you have a top tip?
I do have a top tip that I learned today, and I've tried it. It was in the process of working when we started the podcast and was being very annoying in the background for a bit. So my top tip is, if you put a dishwasher tablet into your washing machine, and yes, I am saying the right things, that helps remove any excess dirt that is hiding inside the drum that you can't normally clean out.
Interesting. So do you just put the dishwasher tablet in the drum, or does it go in the drawer?
In the drum.
Wow. Well, we've got a cleaner that does both. It can go in either. But that's a really good top tip.
Yeah. It's a little handy track. And also, I read an article from a washing machine company saying that it wouldn't ruin your your washing machine by doing that.
So if you try this and it ruins your washing machine, then we've got the address of somebody to contact. That's not your
me.
home address. Yeah. Very good. Give that a go. What about the other way around for cleaning dishwashers? Put washing powder in.
Not so sure about that.
No, I don't think that's going to work. So I have a car-related fact.
Woo!
Because I realised this is the only way to get car information into this podcast.
Said a few things about cars today.
Yes, but that was an event.
Mainly about breaking down.
Yeah, it's about breaking down. So this is about Ford and Girling brake calipers. So in the late 70s and 80s, Ford used Girling brake parts on their Granada range. And they were very critical of the tolerances in these brake calipers. So they get a batch, they take a few of them out, they would measure them. And if they weren't within tolerance, they would reject the whole batch. It would go back to Girling. So Girling decided that they would take this batch and then offer them to another motor manufacturer, and which they did. And they never had any returns from this motor manufacturer. And guess who it was?
Who was it?
Rolls-Royce in Crewe.
No.
So you could argue that Rolls were fitting rejected Ford Granada brake calipers.
Is that a good thing?
Well, it's a surprising thing.
Yeah.
Considering the build quality of those cars and also the cost of them. So that was on a YouTube channel called Tyrrell's Classic Garage. Classic Car Workshop, which is a really good channel, I have to say. And the guy that runs it knows his onions. Without a doubt.
his onions.
Yes, he does. Yes, so
But does he know his apples from his potatoes?
Who knows? I suspect he does. And he gets to drive some really nice cars, which I'm very envious about. Right, so we're off on holiday now. Right.
Yes.
Yes. Soon.
That's it.
So
Hollybobs.
We're off until September. So the first Friday in September will be our next one. And in between, you get to hear some of our, what we think are quite good episodes, including the first one, actually. The one about digital pregnancy testers.
That was quite interesting.
That will be quite interesting, but I guess the sound quality won't be quite as good as it is now.
Oh, it'll be different, won't it?
Yeah, we've evolved over the last 42 episodes. So, have a good summer, and we'll see you in September.
See you later.
That's it for this podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
You can help spread Lippy and Grumpy's view on life by leaving a review on your favourite podcast platform.
If you're not sure how to leave a review, or if you download from Spotify, there's some help at lippyandgrumpy.uk/review.
And if you would like to get in touch, email podcast@lippyandgrumpy.uk.
So it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Bye.